My name is Sean. I'm a quality geek, I think would be the nicest term to put it. And I think that if you're here too, you're probably a quality geek as well. So welcome to the whole thing. A little bit about me and why this exists. For the last 6 years of my professional career, I've been building, implementing, and maintaining quality systems in the contract manufacturer space, creating systems for aerospace industry, medical, automotive, general industry stuff, working with ISO 9001, AS 9100, IATF 16949, CFR 821 CFR, whatever the FDA one is. I didn't work with it well, apparently. So that is me. I'm a quality systems and process person trying to make life easier through quality. Getting a good business management system in place goes far. And again, if you're here, probably know a bit about quality systems and just need to either learn a little more early in the career, or just need to convince that local business down the street that, hey, my goodness, you need to put a process in place. The quality systems approach to business, it saves time, it saves money, it saves energy, prevents loads of issues before anyone even notices. That's what a good quality system does, and that's why we talk about it. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about in this podcast and how quality concepts work, and not only how they can be applied at work, but maybe at home, and how to tell that local business down the street that they can do a little better. No, that's not the intent. The intent is to learn enough to then become a contractor, to work with that local business, to save them time, money, and energy. Woohoo! It's all... Never mind. We'll get into that stuff later on. Let's see here. I spend my days building systems and trying to make improvements to those systems to meet customer requirements. And that's really all that a quality system does, is it better meets customer requirements. At the end of the day, that's what your business is trying to do, meet those customer requirements. And a good quality system helps with that. And now we aren't just talking about the customers that buy the product. We're talking about the whole group of interested parties that comprise that customer base. You've got internal, you've got external, you've got that private equity firm constantly breathing down your neck for EBITDA returns. You've got your registrar saying, like, well, you got to do this. You've got your insurance company making sure that you've got all sorts of stuff in place. There are lots of customers, lots of interested parties that we need to work with and need to keep their needs and requirements in mind. And a good quality system helps make that process way easier. Like for my day-to-day stuff, for my staff, I need to build easy to use tools and systems so that they have an easy day at work. For my product customers, I need to build a system that creates cost savings that will deliver constantly for them. And for my, big bosses, that private equity group that we all report to in one way or another, we've got a return on that investment that they made. So we have a lot of needs that we need to constantly keep in mind. And that's what the quality system helps do. And it's really cool the way that it can do that. We're going to talk about plan, do, check, act, that very basic sounding concept that is so much fun to actually implement. And once it's part of your general culture at work, it's an amazing tool to see in place. But it's tough. It's tough. It's possible, though. And I think that's the coolest part about this whole thing. We have a tremendous task ahead of us as quality systems professionals. And it's possible to make it happen. We need tools, though, that make it easier, that make it happen. And we need to use those tools properly. So that is the 5-minute breakdown. That would be a very long elevator ride, wouldn't it? That's as far as elevator pitches go. Took 5 minutes of talking very quickly to get through what a quality system is and what this podcast currently called Everyday Quality, because we need to use it every day at work, at home, make your life easy. That's what this whole thing is going to be about. So I'm very excited that you were able to tune in and join me here today, because there's a lot of stuff and it's cool. And again, I've only been doing this for 6 years. Learned a lot through mostly 80-hour weeks for the last 6 years straight, because contract manufacturing gets a little hectic sometimes, right? Now, I would assume that by working 80 hours a week for 6 years straight on quality systems means I'm not very good at it. However, my own ego doesn't let me fully believe that. So I've learned a lot in the last 6 years, and the intent would be to help out, all those newcomers to this space. If you are, working at a shop and you've got 10 employees and somebody says, hey, you're in charge of the quality system now, get ready for ISO. Then this is for you. A lot of folks in this space have been doing it for 20, 30 years longer than I have, and there's a lot of smarts out there. So at the end of all of this, I'll shoot out an email address and send in comments, send in your tips and tricks. We'll share it with anybody willing to listen. Now, the reason this exists is because of an experience that I had with a dentist. All right? Nobody likes going to the dentist, and nobody really likes having to go to the dentist multiple times for non-health related issues. And that's the impetus for all of this. A bad experience at a dentist. And I'm like, hey, you know what that dentist could have used? A good quality system. And most importantly, we're going to talk about a lot of tools. And I want to start by talking about a tool that can absolutely prevent inventory mismanagement. All right. Today, we're going to talk about the small but mighty Kanban card. All right. I do want to talk about this dentist story first, though. I'm definitely one of the many people throughout the world that during the pandemic cracked a tooth. I read an article that something like by late 2020, dentists were daily seeing patients for cracked teeth. The stress of it all, we were all stuck in the lockdown kind of stuff, and people were grinding their teeth constantly to the point of cracking it. Now, with 3 of my 6 years in the quality space being pandemic based, and getting progressively more and more responsibilities in the quality realm, I definitely stressed out quite a whole bunch and quite often trying to get people to finish up corrective actions. And I cracked a tooth. Just bam, snap, hurt. Not fun. Never done it before. Generally good teeth. But the tooth that I cracked was a wisdom tooth. Big old Cro-Magnon jaw, so I never needed them removed when I was younger. So I cracked a wisdom tooth right in the back of the mouth. Went to see a dentist, and they said, we could probably yank these teeth out and we'll call it a day. So we just said, sure. Now, and I understand wisdom teeth over time most certainly do age and decay and crack anyway, from my understanding, limited understanding of teeth. Really, my only skill set is working in Excel a whole bunch. So what are we doing here? No, I'm kidding. Quality and Excel. And they're very, very intermingled. So we'll get to that in future episodes. So I scheduled this appointment. And I said, okay, perfect. Yeah. But, I'm kind of done with, not, having some sort of extreme painkiller to go through medical procedures. So I told him, I would really like the nitrous, that laughing gas stuff, just to make it an easier process for everybody involved. They said, sure, yeah, do it. We'll get that nitrous all set for you. So we scheduled the tooth removal for like 3 weeks later. Very backed up dentist, and I was like, well, it hurts, but that's okay. So made the appointment and waited. So I very much, I established my requirement. Well, I need that nitrous, or else everybody's going to have a weird time, because I get, pretty nervous with knives in my mouth. And that was the requirement set. So done and done, right? So what we have there at this point, I'm the customer. I've established my customer requirement, and the contract was signed. Like, nitrous, pull the teeth, I pay you. That was the extent of it. So that's really what it is. Everybody has to meet those customer requirements regardless of where we are. And again, we don't have to meet them. We should be able to, in the manufacturing realm at least, we can review part prints and work together to make a better product for sure. But that's, a little larger. Customer requirements, though, what every business is ultimately trying to make, or meet, rather. Day of the surgery arrives. I get called back, and I'm nervous. Blood pressure's probably a little higher than it needed to be. I'm sitting down in that funky dentist chair, watching the trees outside the second-story window waft wildly in the winds that has rolled in. And then I sit for 20 minutes. I sit some more. Now around me, I'm hearing lots of clicking sounds behind me, but nobody had come in to say, all right, we're just running a little behind, and we need to just wait just a minute. None of that happened. So there's just sitting there, no progress at all made to yanking these bones out of my mouth. 30 minutes pass, and a nurse comes in, and they strapped that. There's this weird breathing apparatus that connects makes sure that the head doesn't roll around while they're being gassed up. So I get strapped to the chair. I get the breathing apparatus over my nose. The hygienist assisting with the procedure had never done this before. So I'm listening to the training going on behind me. And then they mentioned something about an abnormality in the oxygen tank. And now I didn't think much of this. Long ago, I had a chest x-ray and found out that my lungs are really, really abnormally large. I don't know what that means, but I always attribute that to weird things happening. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, my giant lungs are causing the thing to malfunction. They say, okay, we're just going to monitor this oxygen bag. An hour passes. All right. Teeth still very much in my mouth. We scheduled 90 minutes for this whole thing. My whole plan was to go in, get some nitrous, get some local anesthesia, come home, play video games the rest of the day. That was the whole plan. No dentist in sight. Hygienist is gone too. 70 minutes pass, right? That is when the dentist finally comes in, sits beside me, and says, I'm sorry, we're not moving along this morning. We've run out of oxygen, right? And that was a pretty key component of the anesthesia. And then the dentist says, rough to run out on a Monday too. Like, I don't care that it's a Monday, homie. That's not really what I'm about right now. I'm about getting the teeth removed from my mouth. Dentist asks if I would like to reschedule. Now, I had already established that the nitrous was going to be very key for this entire thing. So I'm like, you know what? Let's still we can wait. And that's where we were. So I could have stayed. I could have gone with just a local and shot my blood pressure through the roof. And that's not sounding like too much fun. So they ran out of oxygen the day of. They did not know that they were out of oxygen. Now, in my industry, we're supposed to monitor those very key key items, if you will, with safety stock kind of stuff. They didn't though. And it blew my mind that something so essential, there wasn't a system in place to monitor that. So I keep thinking to myself, like, what would a customer say if I told them I ran out of a raw material and couldn't make what they have ordered? Like in the quality systems, ISO world, we would have opened a corrective action, would have gathered a whole bunch of involved parties for a quick root cause analysis, figure out the what, why, how of that inventory failure, and then spend the next month or so going back and forth with the evidence to close out that corrective action as effective, and that doesn't exist everywhere. And now again, I've been essentially just working. So that's kind of where I'm at on this one. It didn't dawn on me that some small businesses, these sort of organizations that exist and are very much pillars of the community, don't have these kind of tools in place. So without that quality system, it feels like the Wild West. And as a quality leader, that makes me incredibly nervous. I mean, this dentist office, they have an office manager, of course, who pays the bills, and that's the office manager's focus. Probably some scheduling duties and all that sort of stuff. And paying the bills is a key essential item of that, but it gets much easier in a business process realm, that quality management system realm, if you have a process in place for that kind of stuff. All right. So if they had the support systems, if they had production tracking, those would be incredible tools for this dentist office. So ultimately, what I thought to myself was there are tremendous ways to improve this, and we could have avoided rescheduling it. And now think of all the losses that were involved in needing to reschedule. I mean, I needed to use my allotted time off for the year. Not exactly an industry that does the take whatever vacation, don't abuse it sort of realm. The dentist office lost that seat for a good hour and a half, and they still need it to monitor me. They had 3 people, constantly checking in on me there. And it could have been prevented by really solid inventory management practices. And that's what brings us to the concept of a Kanban card. All right. Kanban card really means just visual tool, or visual card. Kanban is visual card. So we're really saying Kanban card, visual card. Not the, doesn't roll off the tongue very well. But this Kanban card is a visual indicator that is established as a reorder point. Now, the dentist office could have set up their oxygen tanks. You've got a row of 5 different tanks, and then as you start moving toward that last one, you put a little card on that last tank with a whole bunch of explicit instruction on what to order from who, when, and how many. And then you put the card back, and then you have that resupply coming in. All right, that was a really clumsy example. So let's run through some practical exercises that I've used a Kanban card in. A lot of manufacturing facilities will be able to set a min-max level on their inventory management tools. And so if they're running like an MRP, that's a material requisition something or other, that's not my side. So, but once they have that indication that they have reached a minimum quantity allowed by their system, then the system is said, tells the purchasing or the buying agent to buy more stuff of that. And it'll send them that signal instantly saying like, hey, you need so much metal to make more siding. And I'm pretty sure siding is made out of metal. But the system will send that alert to the purchasing agent. All right. So as we are removing things from the system, a trigger point is set. So if you have 10 and you need 8 of them, the system would be triggered at 2 to reorder. So you start with 10, remove 8, 2 are left. That signal is sent saying, hey, pull this in for me and we'll be good for the next potential run. Now, that is great for the majority of purchasing needs. You've got raw material, you've got your assembly components. Maybe you need to call in a paint or a secondary services provider to trigger all of that stuff. That's fine. An automated system is fantastic. Not all of us have automated systems, though. I work in contract manufacturing, and some of those automated systems are pretty bad. So a good way to overcome that is a physical card. All right, and I'm talking just a little 4x6 laminated sheet of paper, and on that paper, you have some key items. Now, whenever I make a Kanban card, it has just a few things. You got to have the item name, the name of the supplier, or the location where it can be found, if it's already in-house at all times, the item number with the supplier, or if it's an internal component, you put the internal component name as well, the quantity to reorder. All right, so if you need to always have 6 of these items on hand, your quantity to reorder would be 6. 4 if you have to have only 6. The name of the person you take the card to, and the name of the person you return the card to. Real simple stuff. And then on the cards that I do make, there are instructions on the back of how to use the card. So the whole system is self-contained. All right, and let's say that we use it primarily for items like pens. You'll order 8 boxes of blue Bic pens, and then as people chew through them or lose them all over the place, you start to need more pens. All right, so take a mental journey with me here. We're going to walk into these supply cabinets. That's that mythical place that's always controlled by somebody sitting right next to it, and they may have no interest in monitoring what's in that place. So they may have no experience or real duties, but they sit next to that mythical, the legendary supply closet, and they are now in charge of it. So whenever somebody says, oh, hey, we're out of pens, that person at that cubicle next to that supply closet is supposed to magically read their mind and reorder the pens. Kanban card eliminates magic. Well, that actually sounds really depressing when I put it like that. So the Kanban card introduces a new form of magic, the magic of efficiency. Yeah, woo. I'm not going to put sound effects in this thing, but imagine fireworks right there. That'll be cool. So you have your row of 8 pen boxes. So you have, let's say, 400 pens in this row of boxes. Just box after box after box of blue Bic pen. The pens go away over time. People start throwing them out. They use them for whatever they're doing. And slowly but surely, you dwindle on that supply. Now, your typical MRP or automated system is not going to track these non-inventory items because it's a pen. Who cares? We're not going to write these down on a weird accounting spreadsheet somewhere. Nobody cares about the pens until they're gone. And that Kanban card is going to make sure they're never actually gone. So the pens run out. All right. The person next to the cubicle has to reorder them now. And they're going to be like, oh man, if only there were an easier way. When that next shipment of 8 boxes of pens shows up, that person next to the cubicle is going to make up one of these Kanban cards. And again, that has the item name, the supplier name, the item number at the supplier, that quantity to reorder, who the card is supposed to go to, and where or who the card goes back to. All of that stuff is right on the card. Foolproof. It should be that easy. All right. So the person with the cube next to the mythical legendary supply closet grabs those boxes of pens, puts them in the supply closet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the further back, closer to that far away door, the wall at the end of the closet, they put that little card between box 2 and 3. All right. So the boxes start going away. All right. That fourth box still in place. That third box, sorry, let's go with the third box, still in place. And right behind it is that Kanban card. And then as soon as somebody goes into that closet and they move that third to last box of pens, that little card is going to flutter ever so slowly to the shelf. All right, so it was being supported, nice, held up firm between the second and third boxes. Now you move that box, it falls down, kabloop. All right, and it gives a visual signal that something weird just happened. All right, doesn't happen all the time, these little cards showing up. So this is going to trigger the person grabbing that triggering box of pens, and they're going to look at that card and they're going to say, oh, look at that. There are so many instructions on here. And they can then run it over to the purchasing person, hand that card to the purchasing person. The purchasing person will place the pen purchase order. I ran out of P words. That would have been fun to keep that going. The order is placed, and then the card gets returned to whoever is in charge of restocking that cabinet. All right, quick signal. That's what the Kanban card does. There's no guesswork. There's nothing to really think about with this Kanban card there. It makes life easier. And you can do it for anything, right? So the pencils. I don't know why I went to pencils. Pencils doesn't make a lot of sense. If you've got pens in the office and you should be using, good document practices, shouldn't have a pencil in the building. But all that little stuff, your Kleenex boxes, your staples, even on the floor. Let's say that you have an assembly line running constantly and you need some more inserts. You reach a certain point with your insert components and you're going to grab that card, you're going to run it back to the warehouse, say, help me. And then the warehouse will place that order to get more stuff to you. This system works and it makes life easier. And anytime that you make stuff easier, you make stuff quicker, you make it more efficient, you make money, you save a whole lot of money just by reducing frustration in your workforce. Can you imagine how excited that person sitting next to the supply cabinet must be at all times now, knowing that the card is there to keep memory of everything? They don't have to keep a weird little spreadsheet saying like, oh yes, well, Judy mentioned that the blue pens were down to just 4 boxes yesterday. There's no tracking. There's no trending. It's just grab the card, take it to where it needs to go, and then it makes its way back. Now, of course, the Kanban card idea takes a lot of work to build up. All right. What you're doing by introducing this concept of use this card to signal somebody to go bring this item to you, that creates it creates change, right? And people don't really like change. They aren't fond of newness. But what you can do, you quality leader, one who aims to make life easier and more efficient every day in the workplace, you can show the benefit of this, right? Every place that I have introduced Kanban cards to, it takes time and effort. First, you got to print out a whole bunch of cards. You got to cut them up. You got to write out all the information. You need to identify what items aren't monitored in the MRP system, your purchasing person's automated system, and you have to identify what is essential. You don't want to have a Kanban card for the one-time buy kind of stuff. That's not an efficient use of your time. It's the stuff that will cause a headache at the end of the day if it isn't present. It's stuff that has long lead times. It's stuff that is just generally needed all the time, right? If you have any supply interruption to it, you are going to have a difficult time at work or at home, right? Because if I put a Kanban card on my cookie jar, like we're down to the last 4 inches of the cookie jar, I hit the Kanban card, there's that little signal, oh no, you need to make cookies. That would be a bit extreme, but I've got 2 small kids at home, so if we don't have cookies at all times, life gets difficult. Those are the items that you want to identify for use for your Kanban system. All right, there's so much stuff out there. And so the building and identifying what items you want to track and monitor with these Kanban cards, that takes a little bit of time. Then you have to show people how to use them. All right, the onus is on you. The person who introduces these new concepts needs to be the champion of them, and you need to be the owner of them. All right, that's one thing to go, yahoo, yay, okay, I'm on to my next thing. It's another to own the process. That's a key takeaway for pretty much any quality system. You need to be champion and owner. Again, there should be a lot of these, so we'll talk about that side of it later. But building that Kanban culture, you need to show people how to do it. You need to tell people how to do it. You need to guide people through the process, and you need to observe how they interact with the process. Using that kind of idea, you'll be able to better enforce what the concept means. Make sure that they're using it correctly. You make sure that they're using it well, and not only correctly and well, but to their benefit. All right. Any quality tool that you put in place needs to show the benefit to the user on how it's going to make their life easier. All right. That's really all the quality is making life better for lazy people. And we are all lazy when we can be. I don't know if that's more dire than the last dire thing said, but that's beside the point. So the Kanban card, the card itself takes time. Is ultimately what I'm saying here. Once people start to see the benefit and how much easier life is, then it becomes worthwhile. I mean, you'll start to see easier adoption to other things. The joy of starting with the Kanban system, it really doesn't take a lot of effort on your part. You just need to look around, make a template for your Kanban card. There are lots of really good Kanban cards already available for sale online. Go check those out. Just search Kanban card and you'll go to all of the top cards. But essentially what you're looking for, item name, item supplier name, where it comes from, the item number at the supplier or internal, the quantity to reorder, who the card goes to, where it returns to. Those are the items that are essential for a Kanban card. So that's really just six fields to fill out, and then you got to place them. I do suggest laminating the cards because they will get destroyed otherwise. Oh my goodness, laminate these things. Get a good laminator. Get one that heats up fast, moves fast. Spend the money on a laminator. That is. If you're going to listen to future episodes of this, do know that the laminator is the most vital tool that you will own in your possession as a quality person as we move into visual management and how that works. So laminate the cards. Once they're all filled out, place them where they need to go. do a quick training with your group, document that training as well. Always need to document the training. And then do that show how it's done, tell people how it's done, guide people for how to use it, and then watch it go. So you'll get through that whole realm. You've trained them, you've seen them use it, you watch how it happens, you can adapt it from there. Show, tell, guide, observe. That's what you need to do. Those are the key elements to the Kanban card. Just work with people, understand that it is not going to happen overnight, the adoption of these processes, but use it yourself and other people will too. That's really my big thing for Kanban cards. It's an easy entry point into getting the big concepts that quality systems promote, and it'll be a very good benefit. Back to the dentist side, if they had identified on their oxygen tanks that get plugged in every day, they probably have like a group of 10 tanks that they start moving out. If they had utilized a Kanban card, just taped it to the number 9 of 10, then they would have been able to do that reorder. And then I would have had my teeth out way sooner than it ultimately took. The rescheduling was 3 weeks later. And this was the second time it was rescheduled because my first dentist had broken his thumb the weekend before my first appointment was supposed to go. So really, this whole thing was an ordeal, if you will. But easily prevented, the one that could be prevented. The broken thumb thing, I don't hold that against him whatsoever. Not ordering or having enough oxygen in-house on the day of an expected surgery, that one I do hold a bit of a grudge, but it was corrected, right? And that's the cool stuff. So as we close out here, I mean, your drive into work is probably long over, so we're going to spend the next a few minutes on the drive home, probably. I can't imagine anybody listening to this right now while doing dishes. You could Kanban your dishes, though. If you can figure out how, send me an email. That would be fun. All right. So yeah, as we close out, just recognize that the Kanban system gives you that physical, tangible something to identify that you need more of X to meet your requirement. And that is just really cool. There are tons of information on Kanban cards if you want to read about it as well. Just again, search Kanban cards. You'll find plenty of places that have them for sale and plenty of places that go into the deeper history of these. This is definitely a lean manufacturing concept. I'm pretty sure it's related to Toyota Production System. Not entirely sure on the origin of it. But it's, my goodness, is it an awesome tool to help make life easy. All right. So that will do it for episode 1 of Everyday Quality. If you have comments, and I hope you do, share with me all of your cool stuff that you know about Kanban systems. Let me know what you want to talk about. Send that email to everydayqualitypod@gmail.com. We'll talk about it. There's so much to learn, so much to do. Exciting times ahead for sure. I really appreciate you tuning in. Tell us, that was very royal. Tell me what you want to hear and we'll talk about it. What went right, what went wrong. Looking forward to it and hopefully better outros in the future. We'll see. Process improvement. That's what we'll call it.